Hey, good afternoon, everybody. In case you didn't notice, San Francisco is experiencing a tech boom. For me, this is fantastic. There's nerdulence in every part of the city, and these are my people. But more thrilling than all is that four-letter word, jobs. There were 13,000 tech jobs added in the city of San Francisco in the first half of this year. We use a little site called Venture Loop for our jobs. And if you look at Venture Loop today, there's over 5,500 jobs available. In fact, 1,000 new jobs were added just last week alone. Let's expand out a little further and look at Indeed.com, which is beyond startups and bigger tech companies. There's over 7,800 jobs there paying over $100,000. And these are important jobs. As Enrico Moretti, who is a professor and economist at the University of California, Berkeley, says, for every tech job in a major city, 5 service jobs are created. That's small business, like hairdressers, yoga instructors, meditation instructors, and lawyers. Even in San Francisco, Brooks Brothers is expanding their footprint by twice the amount. Now, I can attest that lawyers are proliferating, but I doubt the jeans and t-shirt crowd is suddenly going to be wearing blue blazers. So this is what it means. We're hiring. This is what it looks like inside a typical startup. I'm sure some of you work in environments like this in the city. Everybody's seated dining room table style now, so we can put in as many people in the scarce space in the city as possible. So what's happening here? Despite journalists writing about the demise of the tech industry over and over, the tech industry has grown substantially, and it's growing even faster. Those 500 plus companies mentioned here that have over $1 billion in market cap do not even include recent IPOs like our own hometown Splunk, who, by the way, has over 100 job openings on their website. We're also in the third era of innovation, the internet era. I can say that I've seen portions of that early era and mid-era I lived through. Every one of these eras has a rock and roll period, and then there's growth. Cloud, mobile, social, data, that's a lot of data, is driving this transformation. You can see an example in the app economy itself, $5.5 billion paid to app developers in the first half of this year. Last year, the app economy, by some accounts, generated $20 billion. App downloads, in-app sales, virtual and physical goods, as well as services. And this is just beginning as these small apps connect back to the internet platform, providing larger offerings, more revenue, larger companies, and more jobs. Some people look ahead and this scares them. They think suddenly we'll all become carbon-based pets, our slaves to our own technology. But even here, computational manufacturing is set to create a $1 trillion transformation to the US economy. IBM calls this the cognitive era of computing, where machines can learn, adapt, and even hypothesize. I spend about 20% of my time on intellectual capital, other than auditioning companies, and my financial capital is worthless without the right people for these jobs. Let's look at a couple. There are over 1,000 jobs on Indeed for iOS developers. A bachelor's degree, table stakes. Now, by the way, let's already have had an app on an app store that has great reviews, as well as all the technical requirements. How about this job? A couple years of analytical skills, SQL coding ability, complete understanding of 3 or 4 business intelligence platforms, and oh, by the way, we'd like you to understand all that brand new big data stuff, Hive, Hadoop, MongoDB. And did I mention this is a marketing job in a consumer software company? So what's happening here? Lots of these jobs are remaining open, not just here in Boomtown, but 3 million jobs in the US economy. Even in the coming big data era, McKinsey predicts that we won't be able to find the 200,000 people we need to use to build software around the data, let alone the 1.5 million people who are going to use the platforms we develop. We know that college educations make a difference, and we know that almost all of our jobs here in the tech industry require at least a bachelor's degree. But not all bachelor's degrees are equal. I hear parents all the time telling me, I just told my daughter that she should go to college enjoy the college experience, and figure out what her passion is. I would just ask that they show her this chart. It's important to know what students are choosing as well. In 2009, we graduated 37,000 computer science degree graduates. Sounds like a big number, but that was lower than the number we graduated in 1984, and during that time, we increased college enrollment by 50%. That same year, 2009, we graduated almost 90,000 visual arts graduates. Now, there's nothing wrong with a visual arts degree other than when that visual arts graduate went out to get a job, they were competing with people that did not even go to college. They did not get a college bonus. And for women, it's more challenging. Not even articles in the New York Times showing that women in Silicon Valley can dress well is convincing women to join science, technology, engineering, and math. And if we overfocus on women, we'll forget that almost 42% of our students today are minorities. Many of them are the first in their family to go to college. How will they make their choices? What will they choose? Who will guide them in those choices? There are almost 8,000 universities in the United States. Most of them are liberal arts colleges. This is the definition of a liberal arts degree. I graduated from 2 of them in Minnesota. It's hard for me to believe that you can analyze intelligently or shape the world intelligently in the future if you do not have a few computer science classes. There's been a lot of rumblings to change the general education requirements in liberal arts colleges, and some have already done this, by the way, but very few, to include computer science courses. We need to change that now. What are we doing in the meantime? Well, we're pounding square pegs in round holes. Facebook's taken a different approach. They spent $24 million in the first half of this year buying whole companies, some venture-backed, throwing away the products just so they could have the people. That doesn't work for most startups. So even here, we're looking for different characteristics than what you would be educated with in a liberal arts college. I'm using a taxonomy from my friend Joey Ito. Joey is a square peg in a round hole. He's a high school graduate, the only high school graduate running anything at MIT, the MIT Media Lab. We're looking for resilience over strength. Can you adapt? Can you fail fast? We're looking for practice over theory. You don't get to build those big scenario analysis. You've got to get out there and prototype the future. We're looking for pull over push. This is the biggest change from traditional enterprise. It's not how many resources you have. It's what is your circle of trust like? How honest are you? How can you call on your network at any time to bring the resources as needed? Disobedience over obedience. Yes, parents, I do mean this. It means you have to really question the grand plan, because in fast-growing, innovative companies, there is no grand plan. Risk over safety. I would love to be a capitalist. I try to erase that word venture from my name all the time, but every day my job says risk. Emergence over authority. Guess what? In fast-growing industries, it's a group growth. There are no experts to trust. You have to trust the crowd. Systems over objects. So this is very much what has always been the magic of Apple. Companies used to build products versus services. Now they build systems. They understand how the objects interact with the people. And again, this has always been mastered by Apple. Compasses over maps. There is no 5-year plan. That good liberal arts degree will help you make decisions, but you have to make them frequently. And last but not least, learning over education. Education fundamentally tells us to find answers. Learning tells us to question, to have insatiable curiosity, and tremendous intellectual stamina as we approach this. What does this all mean? This means that students need to choose carefully. This is not just about your passion. And what students choose will determine our future, the future here in Boomtown, the future of our economy. It means parents have to be better guides. And even though your family members might resist, help guide them and tell them what their choices will mean. It means our educational institutions have to change, and they have to change now. We have to relook at our core curriculum and relook at not only what we teach our students, but how we teach them. In the meantime, we've got to fill the gaps. Amazon announced they were hiring several hundred people here in the Valley for their new fulfillment center. At the same time, they announced Career Choice, where they would offer these new employees in that fulfillment center and others $2,000 a year to learn other employable skills, computer-aided design, jobs that don't exist at Amazon but might be better jobs somewhere else. We talked about girls who code earlier. There's even a set of girls in the city who've realized that they too should have taken that computer science class. So on Saturdays, they're learning how to program so they can get those marketing jobs. And more interesting, Code for America. Code for America is the essence of Pull. It brings together those nerds I love, the city workers who've never seen these business models, and puts them together to drive the projects in our city at a lower cost. There's a lot we can do to create these institutions within our own companies, to support them financially, but in the meantime, I just want to remind you, I've got 300 jobs to fill. Thanks very much.